Hey guys, this is Jonathan Henderson with Pressure Washing Marketing Pros, and I got Fred and Christine Hodge of Clearview Washing. How are you guys doing?
Great. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Jonathan.
Hey, I thank you guys for coming on. Like I said, I want to have you guys on the channel for a long time. Like I said, I know you guys speak at the huge convention. You guys are, a Conquer Coach. Fred, on your Conquer Coach. I know for you, Christine, Nice Job Ambassador, Jobber Ambassador, you just got back from Nashville on some videos, right? On how to get luxury clients, importance of client acquisition, and how to work with family. So you guys have been pretty busy, haven't you?
Absolutely. And in our line of work, as you know, like Memorial Day is like Christmas. So this week in particular is a little crazy.
I can imagine. I can imagine. So in this video, guys, like I said, I want to go ahead and talk to them about, company culture, how they've been able to scale their business to, 1 million plus, right? Just basically their hiring process, all of that, how they market their business, how they stay busy in the winter. So we're going to have all these good nuggets. But before I start, because I think I've talked too much already now, first thing I want to ask is, how did you guys start Clearview Washing, number one? And number two, how did you all meet?
So back in 2004, someone was supposed to go to my parents' house for $350 to clean the windows, and they never did. And the guy didn't show up. He didn't call. He didn't anything. And at that time, my dad actually put an ad in the newspaper. Back when people actually still put ads in the newspaper, and one thing led to another. And my dad was working full time in the city. So I was 19 years old, and I started with this window cleaning company, and it slowly evolved. People started asking, "Can you do power washing? You can do gutter cleaning." Eventually roof cleaning, and we started adding on services because we wanted to be that one-stop shop for all your exterior cleaning needs. And we kind of evolved for there. And then I met Christine in 2014. She was working as a paralegal at a pharmaceutical company. And we basically, I would always talk to her about work and what was going on and whatnot. And she was always giving input. And then we got married. And while she was pregnant with our first born, our daughter, she basically, once the time came and our daughter was born, she didn't want to go back to work. And I realized what an asset she could be to Clearview. So I said, why don't you come on board with Clearview and let's do this. I was thinking originally it was going to be a dual income type of thing, but I was like, you know what, we'll make a dual income with us both working together in the business and building it up. And we kind of took we took the gamble on ourselves and did it together. And we were able to come forward. And nowadays she's the CEO of the company, and I'm the president and one of the co-founders. My dad's one of the co-founders, and it's a full-on family business.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Anything to add to that as well, Christine?
Basically, my family, I come from a family of entrepreneurs. So my father, my uncles, my mom worked with my dad, my grandparents owned a store together. Everyone I'm related to is an entrepreneur. And I always had that in me because I saw it, and I would help my parents from a very young age in their business. So when I met Freddie, I took a liking to his entrepreneurship. Like, I was very interested in what he was doing, and I loved that motivation and drive because that's what I saw growing up. And I didn't think that I would leave my company until we had our daughter. And that's when I realized the corporate world is not for me. I want to put all my eggs in the Clearview basket and see if we can make this thing big. And what's interesting about our dynamic is we really are like a puzzle, because he has strengths that I could never have. I'm not a marketing person, for example. Like, there are just certain things that don't come naturally to me. And vice versa. There are certain things that I know that I can contribute that don't come naturally to him. So I think the dynamic, and also having a male and a female representative of the company, is really good in broadening our client base, broadening the type of people that we're bringing in to work with. So it really is a nice puzzle.
No, that's awesome, because you kind of already answered the question I was going to ask you next. I was going to ask, how do you guys make it work? Because you hear a lot of people that have like the husband-wife duo, and they like are just butting heads, and they're like, hey, we're not going to do that. So just to go along that, just like another time in that sense, what do you guys think has been like the number one thing for you to like allow you guys to work with each other and not like butt heads consistently and kind of make it seamless?
I think it's important that we stay in our own lanes. Early on, when I first joined, we would talk about everything, discuss everything, text everything, check our emails in bed at the end of the night. And that can cause tension, because just because my husband wants to work at 10 p.m. doesn't mean that I want to work. And that's something that's very hard to balance because you work with your spouse all day and then you're home with them at night, but you stay in work mode. So we've really made it a point, and we've excelled at the fact that we don't talk about work outside of work hours. We like to separate our relationship and our family time and our weekends from us being colleagues during the week. And that's really worked for us. I also trust what he does. I'll take one small portion of what he does, which is marketing. I trust him in marketing. So I don't cross my line when it comes to that. And then vice versa. I do a lot of the operations, managing the calendar, the finances. He trusts me in that. So it's very important to make sure that you and your spouse trust each other to handle their portion of the job. And that way there's not too many hands in the cookie jar. Because when everyone starts doing the same thing, it causes tension. Everyone has a different way of doing it, and then it's too much. So you really have to create boundaries up front from the beginning and then just go with it.
Okay, then. And anything to add on your end, Fred, about it?
It's spot on, because obviously if you're working on the same stuff, you're bound to butt heads. And then we learned too, like, not to talk business in bed, because like there was one night where she asked me if there was enough money in the account for like a payroll or something. I'm like, you can't be dropping this on me before I'm about to put my head on the pillow and go to sleep. I'm like, I'm a good sleeper, but don't be dropping bombs on me, like make me start thinking about certain stuff. So that was years ago, and we've overcome that. We put the boundaries up, stayed in our own lanes, and that's been a very successful formula for us.
And that is awesome. That is awesome. So I did a little scrounging on your guys, as you guys know, before we had this, right? So correct me if I'm wrong. You guys can tell your current numbers from what I have right here. So right now you guys are 26, and this is from what I have. So I'm not saying it's 100% factual, but 26 employees, 8 trucks, over 520 Google reviews. You had your first 300K month in June of 2022, and you guys are doing over $1 million annually. Is that still the same kind of picture right now?
100%. We're projected for 2.3 for this year. So but the most important thing to us this year is the net profit. That's our baby, and that's what we're protecting, and that's the overall goal. But all the rest of the stuff, I think we're up to almost 560 reviews now, because obviously that's such a big thing, and it's a big focus of ours, and we've been growing that as well.
Yeah, awesome. And we'll talk about net profitability, you know what I mean, when it comes to that, because I know, like I said, Christine, you had on like the importance of client acquisition costs. So we'll definitely get into that. So the first thing I do want to talk about is, in terms of that, is what percentage of your guys' business is residential and commercial? Like, do you guys have more commercial work, more residential? How do you guys weigh on that?
Well, we finally switched over, and we're more commercial heavy than we are residential for the first time ever last year. Our goal is to become 70% commercial, 30% high-end residential. But you don't just snap your fingers and that happens. So last year, I think, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Christine, but I think it was 55% commercial, 45% residential. And that was the first time ever that we had more commercial than we were residential. But commercial and residential is such a nice balance. There's pros and cons to both, but if you haven't gone at the same time, it really is a beautiful thing, because you can pull guys off a commercial, throw it on some high-end residential. When things are a little slower, because there's peaks and valleys with the residential, you got commercial work, and they really complement each other really well.
Awesome. Anything to add to that, Christine?
I'll add, the reason behind the strategy is because we learned that residential creates a nice cash flow. And commercial creates more margin and larger tickets, right? Like you're getting bigger checks. And we cannot support one without the other. So it really works for us to be heavier in commercial, but still keep that cash flow going in high-end residential. And another priority and why we are with high-end residential is because there's more margin created when you are at one location for the day. So if we can go do a $3,000 job at a 7,000 square foot house on the water, we're going to make more money than we would if we had the crews going to 3 or 4 jobs a day. So that was our strategy behind it, and it is working. And there are hidden expenses that are saved when you take that strategy. You're saving on fuel, you're saving on time, just payroll, like you're saving on payroll by them not having to drive. So there are a lot of benefits to, targeting the high-end client. And then smaller residential jobs are more like filler jobs for us.
So like the big rocks, the sand. So it's like the sand then. People have the big rocks, the medium rocks, sand.
And when it comes to residential, you can kill a residential job and do an awesome job and finish a few hours early. commercial job, you finish early, you're shaving days off. Those are days you could fill with other jobs and you're still getting paid for it. It's not like, oh, you completed that job you anticipated doing 15 days, you did in 13 days. You don't give that money back for those 2 days you finished early. So you're able to fill that spot, and there's a lot more financial flexibility and more income that you're able to generate.
That's actually a very, very, very good point. I didn't even think about that like that then. So I would say you guys have to give all the tips, because obviously I would want you guys, because Christine's going to post it in the description of this video. But I know that you just had a video with Jobber talking about how to get luxury clients. Do you have just at least one nugget people could have in the sense of how to get luxury clients in that sense?
Yeah, I think it's building a very reputable brand. Because luxury clients are not shopping for low prices. They're not shopping for most of them are not shopping for the cheapest price. They're actually willing to pay the more expensive price if they know that they're getting the quality with it. Their biggest investment is their home. It's one of their largest assets. So they want to know that they're taken care of. So we have very nice wraps on our trucks. We have a very presentable crew with nice crew uniforms. Everyone that we hire fits our brand. You know, we always say that we can train anyone to power wash, but you have to fit the brand. You have to fit our style. You have to fit our look. You have to fit our reputation. Like, we had a review just a few weeks ago where somebody said, before this employee left, I actually wanted to give him a hug. There was one day that I was dropping off, it was very cold outside and we didn't anticipate it. And I was dropping off hot hands to our crews. And I went to a job site and I pulled up and our employee was actually hugging the customer. They were like bonding. We have another customer that left a review saying that I just got the best pasta sauce recipe from a Clearview employee. So we have the type of team that we can send to any property, and we know that they're going to represent us well.
No, that's awesome. So I would want to ask then, like, what is the number one thing you guys look for when you're hiring so that people can find that? Because I know that people or companies in general, whether you're in a marketing business, an exterior cleaning business, whatever kind of business it is, the number one thing that most businesses have trouble with is finding those good employees, right? So what are some things that have, from both of you guys can take turns, answering this, but for both of you guys, what have you guys seen when it comes to, hiring employees, like one of those traits?
So basically, we do live by hire slow, fire fast. So we will conduct several interviews, but if we have like the gut feeling that like they're not right for us, they said something in the interview that didn't sound like they were a hard worker or anything like that, we will not hire them because we believe that our services can be trained. So we're looking for a great personality. We're looking for one of the questions that Freddie asks, because I do a phone interview and then Freddie does the in-person interview. And the first question he asks is, what did you do yesterday? Because we don't want to bring on the employee that didn't do anything yesterday. We want to hear, I went on a job interview yesterday. I was helping my son practice his softball skills. I was like, we want somebody who's motivated, because we bring on people that if they can't stay with us forever, we want them to leave better than they were when they joined. So we want go-getters. We have a company vision board at our shop, and we kick off our March meeting with it when everyone comes back for the year. And we have like so much motivation on that board. We have one employee whose dream is to buy a piece of land and build their own house, which I think is amazing. And then we have one that wants to start their own volleyball league. So like, we bring on people who have goals and dreams the way me and Freddie do, and then we all help each other with that. And I think that's very important, and it drives what we say, which we are a family business, but every single employee that we have on our team is a part of this family.
That is awesome to hear. What about you, Fred?
And I look for the 10 traits that require zero talent. So we can teach them the power washing, the window washing, but I want them to be on time, have good work ethic, effort, body language, energy, attitude, passion, being coachable, doing extra, being prepared. Just all those things that you're either born with some of that stuff or you're not. And those are the traits that I'm looking for, because we can mold you into such an awesome member of this team with the skills that we have. But You either have that stuff or you don't, and that's what I'm looking for when I talk to these people.
No, I think you hit on the nail. Like I had to fire somebody this morning in that sense on the first day. On the first day, they're an hour late. You know what I mean? And we tend like what you guys say in that sense. I 110% agree with it, because you can definitely get burned. You hire somebody and they have all the skills in the world, but what good are those skills if you're not showing up consistently every day? If you're not if you're not gonna go the extra mile, right?
Yeah, and you don't want a Debbie Downer or someone that's just kind of moping around. You want that positive energy. You want someone that's hungry. I want people that are hungry, like they're trying to provide for their family or trying to make a better life or whatever they're trying to do. That's why Christine does the vision board. She wants to know what's their 3 or 5 year plan, where they want to be, what do they want to do. They want to buy a home, they want to get married, they want to get a vacation out. Whatever the case may be, everyone's plan's a little different, but we want to know what that is so we can help facilitate that for them.
Definitely. So how do you guys are known for your company culture. So what are some of your guys' biggest contributing factors to your company culture? I think I watched a video you guys also did where you guys have like a Clearview day, right? To where it's like a day, you guys go out fishing, whatever it may be, right? Can you guys elaborate more on your guys' company culture and also the Clearview day as well?
Sure. So we make it a point to get together as often as we can. It's very hard like this time of year, right? And everyone's in different places. We have sales that's out, we have the field that's out, we have office staff. So everyone's kind of all over the place. I work here at home, Freddie's at the shop. So we try to get everyone together because it helps to build that bond. On Clearview Day, which is every August, we try and pick a fun activity. We all get together. Freddie used to make fun of me for what I do on these days, but now he loves it. So I always start with like a mushy question. And so one time at a Clearview Day, I said, what was the best day of your life? And then we go around and our field crew and everyone talks about the best day of their lives. And we learned that someone had 2 kids. I didn't know that they had 2 kids, but it's team building, right? One time I started with, I want you to say, because I also want to build confidence in people, right? I want to make sure that we're making everyone a better person. Like that's why we're doing this, right? We're doing it for our family and we're doing it for our people. So one question was, I want you to stand up and say, what is your best trait about yourself that's contributing to Clearview? And then tell me the best trait about someone you work with. And we spent about an hour and everyone it was at the beach actually. And everyone stood up and took turns. And they were like, you know what I love about this guy? And they were all like giving each other props all day. And that's what it's about, because in the day-to-day grind, right, you're exhausted. It doesn't matter if you're in the office, if you're in sales or you're in the field, it's a different type of exhaustion, but you're exhausted and you get a call back and you're mad. And you know what I mean? Like there's stuff that happens, but when we bring our people together, we want to remind them like of all the good. This is what's so great about you. This is what's so great about our team. So Freddie now loves my mushy questions. He even questioned my vision board in March. He was like, I don't understand. Like I gave everyone Post-its and I was like, write down your dreams. And he was like, what are we doing? And by the end, he was like, I loved that.
I don't question anymore. When the first time at the beach, I thought it was so corny when she told me she was going to do that. Now she doesn't even tell me. She just does it. And you know what? Credit when credit is due. I'm like, I couldn't have been more proud listening to everyone's answers as part of the ownership group, like knowing that like everyone was complimenting each other and hearing some people talk that they wouldn't normally say this stuff. And it was just a very proud moment in that moment.
Definitely. And so, like I said, that goes to one of the things we talked about early in the video, where you guys talk about the strengths, weaknesses, whatever it may be. That was one of your strengths, Christine, and kind of asking that. And Freddie, I know you're just like, look, I'm going to let her do her thing on that in that sense. And I can definitely understand, because as like a man's perspective, I know we're just logical and we're like, hey, A, B, A, B, C, let's get that done. But then I know when you have a woman's touch to things, you get that, that elaboration, you get, the finite details in that sense. So yeah, I love it. I love to see that. So,
I grew up with a brother, so like I didn't get deep with emotions and all that stuff. So that was all new territory for him.
Tell him what I call you, Freddie.
Oh, she goes with a Tin Man because I show no emotion. I think she's only seen me cry one time at a funeral. That's it. Like I just don't show emotion like that. But at the end of the day, I appreciate everything that she does, and that's why I stay in my lane. It goes back to staying in your lane. It's not my lane. Let her do her thing, and it's beneficial for everyone.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure you like him being the Tin Man, though. I'm pretty sure you wouldn't want a man that's super emotional, though, as well, Christina. I'm pretty sure
No,
you
no, no. This is a good balance. I don't mind being the mushy one. If he
Yeah.
came in crying, I'd be like, all right, we got to get it together.
Exactly, exactly. So back to business. Well, this has all been about business, but like your guys' business in that sense, because we talked about, the hiring, all of that. But I want to talk, because we're going to talk about the marketing and, talking about your margins, all of that, right? The importance of client acquisition costs. But to segue into that, I think a good thing that we can go ahead and talk about is you guys have a productivity bonus structure that you have for your employees. And I know that goes into your margins. I know that goes into your company culture, things like that in that sense. Can you guys talk about your productivity bonus structure you guys have for your employees?
Yeah, sure. So we actually use hourly IQ, which is fantastic. Before hourly IQ, I was just using a spreadsheet, and it's almost like a report card. So we're able to balance. We know what we have to hit per hour per person, right? So like the crew has to make this much per day. This is what the breakdown is per working hours. So that being said, if they work that's their job, right? We pay very well, that's their job. But if they exceed what they need to make per hour, they're getting bonuses starting at an additional $2 per hour.
Okay.
So, if they're at, if they make $10 more per hour than they needed to that day, it starts the $2 per hour clock. So it's very nice. We pay it out monthly. So they get a nice additional bonus on their paycheck at the end of the month. Aside from that, we also do deductions on that bonus structure. So they may have been bonused an extra, I don't know, $400 for the month, but they got a deduction of $5 for clocking in late on this day, or we deduct for callback. So if we get a legitimate callback and it's a quality issue, we'll do a deduction for that too. So a lot plays into it, but it helps to keep our crews accountable. It helps us train them because they may not know that they did something wrong on a job. And then it gives us the opportunity to share it with everyone and say, hey, heads up, this happened here. Let's all make sure it doesn't happen again. And it will, it's inevitable. Like we're in that type of industry. But it's also a nice bonus. They're very happy when they get their bonuses, and it keeps them motivated. Another thing with our productivity is if they maintain good productivity throughout the year, something cool that IQ does is it actually shows you what the wiggle room is of what you can afford to pay them per hour. So if someone's currently at $23 per hour, IQ will say, hey, based on the last, 2-3 months, you can actually afford, this person's making money for you, so you can afford to give them $1 raise. So that's pretty cool too, because if someone asks us for a raise, we can go back and say, we're not quite there yet. These are a few things you have to work on. Or we can say, yes, you do deserve a raise. You've been killing it.
And I like that. It's justifying, it's holding both of them accountable. And it looked like you want to say something, Fred. Yeah, go ahead.
It's the old carrot and the stick. We want to reward people when they're killing it for us, but we got to hold people accountable. Because at the end of the day, I have conquerors come to me all the time. They're like, oh, people are showing up late, or they're doing this, so they're not wearing uniforms. Hit them in the wallet. If you hit them in the wallet, all of a sudden it's going to be different. And at the same time, the bonus structure is great because at the same time, the bonus structure is great because it's rewarding people when they're really killing it for you. But let's say you hit a little slow period and you're having to clean up the shop or something. It's not that raised hourly rate where you're committed to it for whatever, anytime they're on the clock. So it works on both ends. And there's other stuff too. Like they get $10 per Google review that they get. We have NiceJob. NiceJob is awesome, but we also want to bring in the human element of things. We want them to tell them, hey, we're having a contest at work, or it means a lot to us, or whatever it is. So that when they get that request from NiceJob, they're like, oh, you know what? Jonathan was asking me for that. I don't want to let Jonathan down. Like I can let this text message and email down, but I'm not going to let Jonathan down. He worked his butt off at this house. You know what I mean? So it kind of combines the whole thing all together and comes full circle.
Mm-hmm.
No, and I can definitely see that in that sense. It's something I've tried to implement in my business as well, but I can definitely see, and like a lot of your guys' stuff applies to our type of business in that sense, like hit them where it hurts sometimes in that sense of, you can reward them, but also once you reward them, hey, you can take that bonus away too if you're not meeting that. And also I think that it's good too, is that you'll have employees to where you're not making it just about subjectivity in that sense, to where they come to you, they want to raise, and you're like, well, I don't think you're doing a good job. And then they're like, well, I've been doing X, Y, and Z. And you're like, well, I haven't been seeing it. You guys are bringing an element to where it's like, there's no subjectivity. It's like, look, this is how many hours you got in. This is how many callbacks you got. This is how many hours it is. So when they want to raise, you can either justify it or not. So I do love that. I do love that in that sense. So that is the importance of client acquisition costs, I guess, as well. Then can we elaborate on that a little bit too, the importance of client acquisition costs?
Yeah, we keep a close eye on what marketing efforts are making us money and some that didn't. And something huge is we always say that if something's not working, dump it. Like if you're spending money and you've given it 30 days or 60 days and it hasn't bought you a return, dump it. Because marketing can sometimes be a money pit. And you have to make sure that if you take, I mean, for us, our biggest lead generator is Google. So I don't want to try and change that. I'm not going to say I'm going to pump $1,000 a month into Facebook ads to try and have it beat Google. No, I might play around with Facebook ads. I might pump some money into it, but I'm never going to change that. So I feel like our money is best spent on our SEO and on our, Google, even Google ads. So we always keep a close eye. We've joined some like property management organizations and stuff. They're very expensive, but the return has been huge. So we keep a very close eye of what we are spending to get the client. And that's something that slips for a lot of people. I can go into like a whole nother thing about why you need QuickBooks, but I won't. But we analyze the numbers and we know our numbers, and that's how we protect our net.
Okay, then.
And we look at it like a diversified portfolio. There's no, like, I used to look for that unicorn where like you would sign up for that one thing and it's going to bring you like massive amounts of leads. And like after 19 years, I'm here to tell you that doesn't exist. But if you spread it out between all the stuff that does work, you're going to get drips and drabs from each one. And over time, that's really what I credit a lot of the lead source to, and keeping down the client acquisition cost. Christine says Google. We don't mess around with Google AdWords, but we're killing it on Google. So I'm all about, obviously, Google local services. I'm all about Google My Business. I'm all about being on that first page. So there's 4 different aspects of Google. I've always found Google AdWords to be a money pit for us. We toss money in, we don't get the proper amount of leads. But those other 3 areas, we're killing it in those departments. And that's where I funnel our money to and keep increasing our budget and trying to maximize it to its full potential.
No, definitely understandable in that sense. So that actually segues it into the perfect question about what I want to ask in that sense is, what types of sales and marketing do you guys do specifically for your pressure washing business?
So I'll stay in my lane. This is my.
I was like, this is not my lane. I can talk numbers, but I can't talk marketing.
All right, Fred and Red.
I love, like I just said, Google local services is really killing it for us. I'm a big believer also in LinkedIn, building up the LinkedIn with the property managers. We joined all the organizations, and those organizations cost money. They cost time and effort. But like Christine said, we were crunching our numbers on the CAI, which is the Community Association Institute, which is across the country. We're in 2 chapters, New Jersey and the Pennsylvania one. And we realized that last year we spent about $15,000, give or take. It might have been a little bit more than that. And we got about just shy of $400,000 worth of work from it. So an ROI right there, I think it was like a 25-to-1 return on investment. I'm like, sign me up for that all day, every day. I'm like, but people only look at it like 15 grand. Like, I'm not showing up 15 grand. Well, if you knew you were going to get just south of 400 grand, I think you would look at it differently. And we invest a lot of that because we're also trying to, like we said earlier, get the commercial up to 70% and the high-end residential up to 30%. And then we mix in a whole bunch of other stuff. I'm big on SEO, building up the website, retargeting. People always joke, like, I visited your website or your Facebook page, and now I'm on like the New York Post article, and I'm seeing Clearview ads. So I go, how are you doing that? Like to them, it's like magic, but to me, it's like that's a strategic choice that we have. We're trying to, well, people are thinking about us. They thought about us enough to visit our website or Facebook. Let's strike it while it's hot, and we do a lot of that. And people are like, oh, but the website and SEO. I even have conquerors that kind of blow me off with that. I'm like, guys, you got to realize that was one of the main avenues that got us to the leads to grow more crews and then to take that stepping stone to branch out to other stuff. I really analyzed with the backlinking and the retargeting and all the blogging and the hidden pages and you name it, like all that stuff I allocate because I feel like AdWords, let's say, you put the money in, you get the leads out. That's it. That's all she wrote. This is, I'm investing in the future. I want to build this up so that down the road when I'm not even, I don't think there's ever going to be a point where I'm not doing it, but just in theory, if I wasn't doing it, the leads would still be coming in because I built into all those hidden pages for all those services in each town I want to be in, and I'm investing in the future. And people can't always see that. SEO is like, what is that? Is it outdated? It's not tangible. You can't touch it. I got to wait a few months until it kicks in, all that stuff. But I've seen it from the long run that, hey, if you invest in this, the end game is where you're at. And that's something important to us.
Yes, and I think this is somewhere where I can contribute in this conversation.
Absolutely.
You guys have been awesome on this. I've learned some few things that I've wrote down, especially the question about what'd you do yesterday. I think I'm going to add that to my own. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I ask in that sense. But you're right, though, Fred. You're right. But the thing is, though, too, is the way that you look at SEO and these kind of things, it is a brand thing. So, for example, I tell guys that you can do all these techniques all day, backlinking and all of that, but you hit it on the head. You're also retargeting and you're creating that engagement. Because, for example, if Amazon's website, for example, went down for, let's say, 6 months, right? But it went back up. Do you think they really need to do SEO in order to get them back in the top positions and all of that? Do you really think they need to do SEO? They don't need to, right? And so I tell people your SEO gets really good once you're hitting on all the factors of having an actual good business, right? To where you're explaining your services right, to where you're creating content, to where you're retargeting people, to where, like, if I visit your website at that point, then all of a sudden I'm getting an ad like, hey, get $25 off these exterior cleaning services. And somebody's visiting your website again. And that's creating engagement. And Google looks at that and they're like, man, these guys are like kind of like, you know, people are engaging, people are calling, and people don't realize that. So to have good SEO is really to have a good business, because you can take somebody with one review, you really think they're going to really rank prominently on Google? Probably not. So that's good that you guys have built that brand and you have all of that. So another thing that I want to go ahead and ask you guys, are there any marketing efforts you've stopped using in the past years that have just not been, giving you a good return in that sense?
Yeah, we've gotten out of the Angie List, the Home Advisor, the Thumbtacks. I hate those things. I have like, okay, you pay money and now you're going to give it to 4 competitors and it's a race to the phone, and then there's fake ones, and then you're trying to battle for credits and they're not giving you the credits back and you're frustrated. Like, got out of that stuff. I thought I was cutting edge a couple of years ago with the whole geofencing. I'm always trying to push the envelope when it comes to marketing. I geofenced every property management office in New Jersey. I thought, you know what? They all got to meet for meetings either once or twice a month. They'll go there. I'll geofence them. Their phone will go into that area. They'll get advertisements. I didn't get it. We did TV commercials last year. Complete fail. I realized that it's really for branding, but the stage we're at and the stage most of our listeners are at is you want to trade marketing dollars for leads. We're not Lowe's or Home Depot where we just want to get the name out there and the branding and stuff. We need to actually, like, if we're spending money, we need an ROI on that. Like, that's great that people saw it and like they're like telling me they saw our commercial. I even thought it was cutting edge that we were doing streaming commercials. So I thought everyone's streaming now between Prime and Netflix and all the stuff. I'm like, oh, this is great. This didn't work out. So trust me, we've poked around and messed around, and there's been some fails, but the stuff that works, we pump more money into, and the stuff that doesn't, we kind of move on.
Yeah. Do you have anything to add to that, Christine? But I know you might be staying in your lane, but I just want to see if you had anything to add to that.
No, he nailed it. It's basically, we have to watch the numbers. We have to make sure that we get a return on everything. And I think it's important to experiment. Like, we wanted to dabble in the TV commercials, but we learned, it's not for us yet. Maybe it will be down the line.
And I liked how you just said that. You said yet, right? Because like I said, you could be that premier exterior cleaning company, and then all of a sudden, like, if you're just getting your name out there, people are like, yeah, like how you said Homes, I said Low Depot, but Home Depot, Lowe's, all of those places, right? You kind of look at it and you just instantaneous, like, you think burger synonymous with McDonald's, right? So just like you guys are building yourself up in New Jersey to be, exterior cleaning, you know what I mean? Clearview in that sense. So that's awesome. What is your guys' most profitable service that you guys have? Like, what is one of your guys' most profitable service or services, I should say?
It's really a soft wash. If we're soft washing, we're soft wash, roof cleaning. Those are very profitable for us. Window washing is not as profitable, but sometimes it's like our foot in the door, right? Like, a lot of pressure washing companies don't do window washing. So it kind of gives us the advantage of being the one-stop shop. So we try to, if someone requests a window washing, we're always upselling something that's profitable, like a soft wash or a roof cleaning.
No, that's awesome. That is awesome. So I know before we talked and we got on the call with that, we were talking about one of the clients that, you know, that you coach, right, Freddie, in that sense. We're talking about the winter, all of that stuff. So how do you guys stay busy, like marketing, you know, so that you're just consistently staying on schedule? Because if you guys are hitting 2 million plus, you know, obviously you guys are going to stay busy year round. So how are you guys able to stay busy in the wintertime?
So our season, our winter isn't as long as people think either. We
Mhm.
go up until just about Christmas time, and then we start back every year by March 1st. And obviously, February is a short month as it is, and it gives our field techs a chance to kind of just recharge for the winter. If they want to go on a vacation or just do whatever they want to do, they can do that. Our sales team's working year round. Our operations managers are working year round, getting ready for that upcoming season. And it used to be a time off where we still do a vacation during the winter, but man, we work like dogs during the winter. People don't realize. They think just because the cleaning's not going on, then we're not working our butts off. But there's so many moving parts, kind of setting yourself up for success that upcoming year, figuring out what you did wrong and fixing it for that upcoming year, refining all your marketing efforts, just gearing up to make sure that the next year is the best year you could possibly have. So it's basically a 2-month winter. We sprinkle in a little bit of vacation, gives us a chance to travel a little bit. But other than that, we're working really hard, and the guys, we have closing meetings with every employee, and we ask them point blank, are you going to be here on March 1st when we start back? And they tell us point blank yes or no, and I'd say 98% of them say yes, and 98% come back that following year. So we're very transparent. I'm like an open book. Like sometimes it's viewed as a negative thing, but to me, I'd rather be more transparent, more open. I think people appreciate that. That's good for culture. That's good for the overall company. And we're just open and honest with it, and people respect that.
No, I like that a lot. I like that a lot. You have anything to add to that, Christine?
I think he nailed it. We, you know, in the winter, we tend, you know, there's like a fall lull, and then we somehow get really busy again in November, and December, which is just usually like we're surprised every year, but then we shouldn't be surprised because it keeps happening. And then when we do a lot of shrink wrapping that time of year too, like that was kind of helping us go further into the season, you know. And then we are always told very often by people, like, it must be so nice to have a few months off. And me and Freddie are like, I think we work harder in the winter than we do during the year, because even though we're not dealing with customers, we're like really like tearing the previous year apart and analyzing everything and just seeing what we can do to get better. And we do all these reports and we do all these spreadsheets and you know, employee management. We do year-end surveys, so we analyze all the surveys to see what we can do to get better. So there's a lot that goes on in the winter. It's scary being shut down for 2 months, so I think anyone in our industry might be trying to like find year-round work. Like we've gotten advice about, you know, going into duct cleaning or something in the winter, but like that's not our lane. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's a different service. So for us, we embrace the break so that we can prepare for March, basically.
And I like that, because I know some people, because you guys probably don't do Christmas lights either, do you? You don't do Christmas lights. And you guys just kind of stay with what you know, because you can go one or two ways. Like you said, just kind of break apart your previous year and what you guys did. And so I'm pretty sure you guys use that time to go ahead and systemize things. I know that you guys use that time to go ahead and develop systems, build things out, and kind of see what you're doing. Also, I want to talk about the marketing thing you guys talked about in that sense. I really liked how you guys, like I said, Fred, how you tried a lot of different things, because I try to tell a lot of people, fail faster, right? You want to fail as fast as you can possible, so you know what works and what doesn't work. So I really admire that about you guys in that sense of what you did. So I would, you know, another question I want to ask you guys is, what has been the biggest struggle, the hardest thing that you guys have faced over the past, whether it's 5 years, 20 years since you guys have been in business, you know, when it comes to just either growing your exterior cleaning business or just operating on a day-to-day end? And I would like to hear from both of you on that.
You want to start, Freddie?
Yeah, so obviously running this line of work where there's the human, you're dealing with humans, you're employing humans, you have human customers, there's a lot of variables going on. So it is tough, and you're trying to limit issues, callbacks, deal with good customers. Hiring is tough because you have to weed through a lot of people. And obviously COVID brought a whole like slew of like hiring was a mess. It's opened up a lot since then, but you're only as good as your weakest link. So we're very strict when we're hiring people that we're not just going to hire anyone. Like we joked, but back in the day, if you could breathe, you could work for Clearview. Like we got rid of that because I'm telling you from firsthand that does not work, and you're not going to have long-term success. But at the end of the day, we're a lot pickier with the people and making sure they have those things that require zero talent. And I think the employees is one of the harder ones, but at the same time, just a little bit of everything. It's hard as you grow to make sure you have enough work because you got 8 crews going out. That's a lot of mouths to feed. That's a lot of leads. You got to make sure your sales team has enough leads. Then you got to make sure your field crew has enough jobs. And it's a balancing act. It's a constant balancing act, but it's something that we embrace and we kind of try to figure out, all right, if something's broken or not working, how do we improve that? Where do we go from there?
Mm-hmm. What about you, Christine? Mm-hmm.
For me, on the back end and like numbers wise and operations wise, there are 2 major things. One of them is it was really hard to hit $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
So like we kept like creeping up, and like every year we'd be like, this is the year, this is the year, this is the year. And we'd like come up short and we're like, oh, we were so close. So it was very hard to cross that. And I think it's because there's like a growing pain associated with it. Like when your margins shrink, when you take on more employees and when you're striving for growth, and you have to be comfortable with the margins shrinking, you know, so you have to save in different areas to make sure that you can afford to get yourself to the next benchmark. So that was a pretty big challenge. But then we crossed 1 million, and then it feels like it's just flowing. The second hardest thing, especially in 2022, which I think a lot of entrepreneurs faced, is protecting your net, because of inflation and because of things going up. I mean, we're paying 100% more now per gallon in bleach than we were a year and a half ago. So you have to really focus on your numbers, even though you're on the day-to-day grind. You have to be very aware of your numbers and make sure that you can set yourself up for success. We like to embrace that 2-month break, right? But you also have to prepare yourself financially for that. So you have to set your numbers to ensure that you can live for those 2 months, but also that your business can live and support March when everyone comes back, but you haven't been paid yet. So that was it wasn't a terrible hurdle, but it was something that we had to think about because of the growth. So you're not only managing 3 or 4 people now, you're managing 26 people, and you have to be able to support that financially if you do hit a lull or if you are closed for the winter.
No, you're absolutely 110%. I think those are some very good points. And you brought up something that I had written down here is, what do you think contributed most to scaling, for you guys to scale to 1 million? Because it seems like right now, once you guys scale to 1 million, it just took you like another year or 2 just to double that, right? So what was a contributing factor to that? I
always joke. I felt like we like kicked the door down because it was like the door was like locked on us, and I'm like, no, I'm breaking through this. Because like that winter, I think one year we were at 950. We had like 50 or 75 grand worth of approved quotes, and Mother Nature was like, nope, like we're not gonna let you work the rest of this December. And we didn't get it that year. And that was the year like that winter, me and Christine were like, all right, how do we break down this door? And then the next year we hit 1.5, like it was nothing. And it was because like we lined up all our ducks in a row, figured out what was broken, what we needed to systemize. We got to really know our numbers even more. And it just it's hard, like Christine said, because you're bringing on, as you grow, more roles that are technically deemed non-revenue generating, the sales and the admin and all that stuff. And like it's harder when you're bringing more of those on, and they're not necessarily bringing the money. They're generating sales, they're doing the customer service, they're doing everything that you need, but it's like Christine said, it's shrinking your margins a little bit. So trying to find that fine line of balancing and what we needed to do across the board. Offering bundles, that was huge for us. When we started offering bundles, our average ticket went from like 800 average ticket to like 1,400 like overnight. And everyone in your company fights you on certain stuff. The sales team was like, oh, but Mrs. Jones didn't want that, or she didn't need that. I'm like, please bundle everything that you possibly can at this job. And then all of a sudden they're coming by like a month later, high-fiving you going, oh man, you see that job I just closed for $4 grand? You checked it out? I'm like, yeah, because you bundled it, you listened, like you finally made the move. So like sometimes it's that positive reinforcement and staying on top of everyone too, and just realizing like if you're trying to show them the new path of where the company's going, if you tell them once, it's not going to just happen. You kind of have to show them, help them, evolve it, and then they'll see the big picture. And that's like, as leadership, you got to be the visionary to show them, like, you know where this train's going. You got to show everyone else where this is going so that they get on, and we're all on the same page.
Yeah. I echo that. Like what he said, like when we wanted to cross that, we were like, we had to like put it into the universe. Like, no, we are going to surpass $1 million. We're going to create this spreadsheet and see how many crews we need, because this is how much we need per day. It's like the breakdown of like, I need this per hour, this per day, this per truck, this per month, like, and to see what number you'll hit. Because in your mind, you're like, I want to make $1 million. But if you have, 2 or 3 crews and you put it on paper, it's just not possible to hit $1 million. So it's the whole like taking a step back and making sure that you like, we knew that we needed another truck. So we made sure to hire in advance and rent a truck that year. And that way we knew like, all right, if we get this other truck out, then we'll hit $1 million. So there are all these like strategies behind the scenes, but that just brings you back to, you have to know your numbers. No, you might not even be able to hit $1 million with who you have on staff.
You're right. And that's actually a very good point, because the people that may have gotten you to 350,000 may not get you to $1 million. Right. Yep. So you guys are definitely right about that. So Fred, I want to talk about the Conquer Group in that sense, because I know you say coaching. So what is the importance and value of getting coaching? And, because I'm pretty sure that probably also contributed to you also, you guys both scaling the business to $1 million plus. So what is the importance of getting coaching and the importance of continuing education?
Yeah, I think it's extremely important to be held accountable. You can't just put something off, because we're all entrepreneurs. We're our own boss. And it's easy to be like, I'll do that tomorrow. I'll do this. And you're doing your own thing. I think getting on track too, because everyone can say they're busy. I always tell people, like, if you were to write down the past 15 things you've done in your business and put a dollar amount associated with that job that you were doing, how many of those are $15 an hour tasks? How many are $500 an hour tasks? And how many are $1,000 an hour tasks? You can certainly fill your schedule with tons of $15 an hour tasks. Oh, I went to Mrs. Jones' house to pick up a check, then I drove home, killed an hour there. I went and did this. It's all $15 an hour tasks. I want to be smart and strategic about where it's going. I wish Conquer was around when we needed it, obviously at that time, because it's hard. You also have someone that you can call up and say, hey, I'm running into this with the customer. What do you do in this situation? Or how do you do this? And I'm able to kind of help guide people through some tougher times or some questions they might have, whether it's industry specific, business specific, whatever the case may be. They have someone that a sounding board, someone that gets it. Entrepreneurship can be very lonely at times. You have a lot of family and friends, and they're all awesome, and they might cheer you on, but they don't know how it all works and what goes into it and how to do everything. So at the end of the day, I think it's important to have someone in your corner that's kind of helping you, guide you to see the light, see where you're going. What are you trying to do? What do you need to change? And just everything that goes into that.
Definitely. Anything to add to that, Christine?
I completely agree with him. I think that what he's doing with Conquer is very valuable. And it's something that, like, when I first joined Clearview, or even before me, like, he wishes that he had, what I mean? Because even when I joined Clearview, a lot of these things weren't around, like hourly IQ and productivity wasn't around. We didn't know a lot of the resources that we can use, if those resources even existed. And so now there are all these resources, and you kind of just need someone to bounce ideas off of, and not hold your hand, but just someone to talk to. As we face challenges, as we grow, like Freddie said, we're each other's support system, because we can't go out to dinner with our friends and talk about this stuff, because it's like we're speaking another language. What people see might be like a shiny object. Oh, they own X amount of trucks and their business is doing good, and we see them all over. They were on TV last year. Like, you know what I mean? But the day-to-day grind, no one's seeing. So you kind of need that support and advice. And I think it's great what he's doing with that program, because he can he can hopefully help shave off a few years for people to reach their milestones a little faster.
Most definitely, most definitely. So there's one more question I want to ask you too. Like the last one will be where can people find you? But before I ask you that, I always like to ask everybody like a personal life hack that made you guys better entrepreneurs. So I would like to hear from each one of you guys, kind of just any personal any personal hacks you guys have had, or any routines, anything that you guys do to make you better entrepreneurs.
Mine is reading. So you can probably see it in the background. That's like my library of entrepreneur books. Like I enjoy reading. A lot of books may have like a ton of fluff in it, like, this is how you get to $5 million. You wake up early, but then you always take like one piece of advice from it. You know what I mean? Like I would read a book, and even if I didn't love everything in it, like there's always one thing that I can take and implement. And we believe in surrounding yourselves with people who are more successful than you, because we're always learning. When we attend conventions, we attend the huge convention, we have a little networking group of other power washing really competitors in New Jersey. We all get together every January. Everyone thought Freddie was nuts when he first started doing that, but we want to be surrounded with like-minded people and people who are becoming very successful, because there's always one thing you can learn. And for us, if I had to say one thing, it's reading books and being open to learning, because it doesn't matter, even if your company is a $5 million company, you still have to be open to learning something. And that's what makes you better.
Definitely. I agree with that. What about you?
For me, it's like the vision, making sure everyone's on board with the vision and where it's going. And then a few of the things I've learned too, at times this gets me in trouble in our personal life, but I play devil's advocate. I like seeing it from both sides, and I want to analyze it. Like, how would I?
There is no other side. It's just my side.
But like, I want to look at it from the employee standpoint. I want to look at it from the customer standpoint. I want to take it all in and absorb it. And the last thing is also giving credit to everyone in the company. Us as business owners, you're going to get accolades as you grow the company and you get bigger and stuff like that. Let them have the stuff on the day-to-day. Like we don't need that on the day-to-day. Let them, even if you help facilitate everything and then set up on a platter for them, if they close that deal or they killed that job, they get the credit. Give them the credit. Like some business owners could be stubborn, and maybe I was years ago, but I've realized that at the end of the day, if you give that credit out, it just builds so much better culture, and everyone gets on board more likely towards your vision. And I think that's really important.
No, I definitely like that a lot. I definitely like that a lot in that sense. So to conclude with all of this, like what you guys said, because I think this has been one of the best ones I've done. You guys gave away a lot of really good information. So one thing I know is for everybody that is watching, these two will be speaking at the huge convention. So you guys can be able to catch them there. Also from the 23rd through the 25th of August out in Nashville. But where can people find you guys? Specifically, I'll start with you, Fred, and then I'll go to you, Christine.
Yeah, of course. So obviously, I'm on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn. Everyone, if you're not on LinkedIn, I used to look at LinkedIn as like a white collar trading resumes type of thing. I was wrong. There's property facility managers and everyone you want to do business on there. So come find me on LinkedIn. We're on Instagram. We're on you name it. I'm more than happy to connect with everyone and kind of see how we can help.
Definitely. So like I said, conquer as well with all of that. So Christine, for you, where can people find you at?
We are on Instagram at Clearview Washing, at Christine S. Hodge, also on Instagram. On Facebook, Christine Hodge or Clearview Washing, and also YouTube under The Process CEO. And we've been putting out some pretty fun content, and we're hoping, like what you're doing, that we can help other entrepreneurs because we're all in this journey together.
Yeah, definitely. And so I'll link all of that in the description below so that you guys can subscribe to their YouTube channel as well when it comes to just helping business owners. But like I said, I appreciate you guys for taking your time. Do you guys anything else you want to add?
I know that Christine, if anyone has NiceJob, Christine's got a link that you're going to add on. That's 2 free weeks if they want to check it out and see what it's all about. It's gonna be on there. And I always joke before Christine even became an ambassador for Nice Job that Nice Job was the best $70 a month we ever spent ever. So I get 2 free weeks and check it out.
That's the marketing guy. You see why I stay in my lane?
Wait. Because I was about to say, I know I probably was forgetting something in that sense, but yes, 2 weeks free, 75% off the first month too, right? 75%
Yep.
first month in that sense. So you guys will also get that link in the description wherever you guys are watching the video in that sense. So yep, and like I said, you guys will also get the links to her Jobber. Like I said, that she did as well in the sense of the video she did for Jobber, I should say, how to get luxury clients, importance of client acquisition costs, and working with family. So other than that, though, I think that we unpacked a lot of stuff. And like I said, I look forward to seeing you guys continue to grow your business.
Well,
Thanks,
thank you for the
Jonathan.
opportunity. Yeah, thank you, Jonathan. Great seeing you, man.
Great seeing you as well.